So let's talk about the Denver Nuggets. What a season. What a freaking season. So obviously they win the championship in 2023. 2024, they did just about everything they should have and would have done to win it all. They just did not look completely locked in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They go down 0-2 against Minnesota, storm all the way back, and then lose the last two games. Had a 20-point lead in Game 7 before choking it away, the biggest Game 7 choke in NBA history. Unfortunately, not great for the resumes of those gentlemen. But this season started off really bad. I think they were like 0-3 or 0-4, something of that nature. Then Jokic went on his usual, early January, late December tear.
Yeah.
Became the third player ever to average a triple-double in a season. He averaged a 29.7-point triple-double, joining Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook as the only three players to do it. The first center to ever do it, which is actually really impressive. Unfortunately, he's not going to win MVP this year. Sucks, but, it is what it is. The NBA did its PR move. It's fine. But, the playoffs come around. The Nuggets got the 4 seed. Just did not look completely locked in all year. We're in a dogfight with the Clippers, won in Game 7. And then you come up against the best team in the league, the 68-win OKC Thunder. You steal Games 1 and 3. You get blown out in Game 2. You choke Game 4 and 5. You win Game 6. And then Game 7, they just shouldn't have even shown up, to be honest with you. I mean, they just got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, manhandles.
Basically, pause. But, you could look at Denver's exit from a bunch of different perspectives. You were 2 bad chokes away from winning in 5, but you were also 2 Aaron Gordon threes away from getting swept.
Yeah.
So a lot to take away with Denver. So Gio, as a temporary Nuggets fan, just your overall evaluation on their season.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you look back at the season, Denver, for a good long period of time there, they were top 2 in the West.
Yeah.
Right? They were holding their number 2 spot in the West for quite a while. So, I mean, it wasn't like a terrible season. It's just like all of a sudden, they just started going very cold. And specifically defensively, they couldn't stop anyone. Offensively, they were great because of Jokic.
Right.
Solely because of Jokic, because Murray was nowhere to be found in the regular season. But, I mean, defensively, they got to do something about that because they're terrible defensively.
We also totally forgot to mention they did fire Michael Malone and Calvin Booth.
Yes, maybe
right
that's the reason,
playoffs.
because defensively they were just abysmal. So,
they were awful.
Yeah.
I mean, the Nuggets and Knicks were getting compared to each other because they were just doing the same thing. They couldn't guard the 3. They kept losing to the same teams.
Right.
And, they just weren't getting it done in the playoffs.
But they can put points on the board. That's what they can do.
Exactly.
But when you're playing against the best defense in the league and also one of the best offenses in the league, that's what happens, so.
It's one of the best teams of all time.
Yeah.
Based off of just pure rating in general. They have the second best net rating ever.
Yeah.
Behind, I don't remember if it was the Bulls or the Warriors. I think it was the Warriors because that team was just stupid.
Yeah.
But, obviously things transpire the way they transpire. And, Denver's got to really take a long look at themselves in the mirror this offseason because there's a lot riding on this summer specifically. Jokic just turned 30 back in, I think, February.
Wow.
There's not enough. You can't waste time here. You've already wasted 2 years of his prime. It's bad enough that the 2 years before that, you win the championship, but then Jamal Murray tears his ACL and you lose those 2 seasons in general there. So, obviously, Michael Porter Jr. seems to be the name that is floated around the trade market because, I mean, look, the Nuggets screwed themselves over so massively here because, look, Michael Porter makes $35 million this year. Gordon makes $22 million. And then there's a huge gap with Zeke Naji making $8 million. So there's no tradable contracts in that sort of 15 to 25 area because you're not trading Aaron Gordon.
Right.
Who, by the way, was outstanding all season amid the injuries and all the personal life stuff that's gone on. Shout out Gordon of Aaron. We love that guy. So, Antoine, I'll go to you here. Obviously, a lot of moves to be made with the Denver Nuggets, potentially.
Of course.
Should they trade MPJ?
I am on that bandwagon. I think that is the first thing. I mean, the free agents that are here, they should not be coming back. That's Chanchar and DeAndre Jordan. Gone. Player options are Saric and Westbrook. Both gone. Maybe Russ stays. The biggest thing they could do this offseason as well that they could avoid for next season is that Christian Brown, P. Water, are both restricted free agents next year. They could lock them both up this offseason and leave that be and then not worry about it next year. Or they could let it be next year and see how they perform in their last year. But it could also raise their price up significantly more. So it's kind of an iffy 50-50 situation for both of them. MPJ, I think, is gone. So also the owners, the Cronkies, very well known in sports. They have invested a lot of money this offseason into the Rams. They brought back Matthew Stafford, paid him a lot of money. They're now investing a lot of money into Arsenal in the transfer window coming up this upcoming season. And you have to do the same thing for your third team.
Yeah,
You can't leave one team in the shadow and invest into both teams in both off seasons. You got to invest in that third team.
yeah. They also own the Avs as well, so there's going to be
the
moves
Avs.
made because they're also a playoff team, and I'm not sure what they're going to do there. But as far as the Nuggets goes, look, they've spent the money. They've just kind of put it in the wrong spots, and I'll cut them some slack because no one saw this new CBA coming when they gave Michael Porter the contract in 2021, 22. So you can't really control that. It's unfortunate that MPJ has to be the casualty piece. This is all on Calvin Booth. I mean, he mismanaged this roster so freaking badly. I mean, you had one of the best GMs in this generation in front of you in Tim Connolly. He built this team completely. And then Calvin Booth came in and basically he leached off of Tim Connolly's work. That one season they won the championship, and he just kind of sat back and chilled and just wasn't passing. You're telling me you couldn't get Dyson Daniels for like a second round pick? Instead, you could have gotten Dyson Daniels from New Orleans for 3 second-round picks.
Wow.
What'd you decide to do instead? You gave 3 second-round picks and Reggie Jackson to Charlotte.
Yeah.
I don't like GMs like that. I need ambition. When you have one of the best players of all time on your team and he's in his prime, and you're in a stacked Western Conference with teams like the Thunder. The Lakers just got Luka Doncic. They're going to be building. You got teams like Houston who are on the come up. The Warriors are still relevant. The Timberwolves have built themselves a really good team. You need to be aggressive, man. I just don't understand why you think you see Jokic doing everything and you think that's fine. No. Like there's a clear difference between the team that won the championship and the teams that didn't. And, that's why I said this is a big test for the Knicks because off the bench in 2023, you had Bruce Brown, you had Jeff Green, and you had Christian Brown. You had Russell Westbrook this year consistently. Peyton Watson didn't get consistent minutes in the playoffs because he was either okay or he was a total net negative. So not having a bench, for example, is a major mishap from Calvin Booth. Yeah. And the way this roster's structured and the way the new CBA works, teams are afraid of going over the apron.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I think. I think you need some players because look back onto the season where the Nuggets won the finals. Yeah. All right. So they had Jokic, and obviously the offense was ran through Jokic. But you had other guys on that team that were not afraid to step up when the moment called for them to step up. And what do we see this year in the playoffs? We saw players that were afraid to step up when the moment called for them to step up. Yep. And that's why you saw them passing it to Jokic. And that's why OKC was able to triple team Jokic because they knew it was going to happen. They were going to pass the ball to Jokic every single time. Therefore, they lost the game.
Yeah.
Because they were afraid to step up when the moment called for them to step up. So you need players that are confident enough to say, no, I'm not going to actually pass you the ball here, Jokic. I'm going to get a bucket of my own, or I'm going to create for my teammates around me. Like, that's what you need. You need players like that to give Jokic a break here and there. When Jamal Murray's not really feeling himself, he was literally sick the day before, and then he was probably tired as well. So you need that other player to come and step up when the moment calls for him to step up. And I didn't really see that from the Nuggets, especially in Game 7. I didn't see it. I mean, I saw a little glimpse of it from Julian Strawther, who had an outstanding Game 6.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
He has a little bit of that. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe he might be able to fill that MPJ role a little bit. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know.
But they need more of that.
And that's the problem because that team in 2023 was so perfectly constructed.
It was.
And they didn't replace them. That's really the main thing because there was a lot of games, even throughout his entire tenure in Denver. Michael Porter barely closed games in the playoffs in 2023.
Yeah.
Bruce Brown stepped up.
Yes.
And not only was a great point of attack defender, but he could shoot. His 3 balls improved so much. Even when he was in Brooklyn, he looked great.
Yeah.
And, now you don't have that anymore. Jeff Green was a stretch 4/5. again, he's a veteran. You just don't have that anymore. Peyton Watson's nowhere near the experience level of Jeff Green, nowhere near the shooter of Jeff Green. Better defender, give him that. But, you got it. The Nuggets' problem this season was both ends of the floor. And if you're not shooting the ball well on offense, you're going to be pouting, slouching. It's going to affect your defensive game.
Yeah.
And Christian Brown seems to be the only guy that actually had the balls to step up this entire playoffs. And, I commend him for that because in Game 7, he came to play. He came to play in most games this playoffs for them. And, that was one of the things I was looking for him specifically because against the Lakers last season and the year before, he was unplayable.
Yeah.
And this year, he looked much, much more comfortable in that starting spot. But you need someone behind him because he was the energy off the bench.
Yeah.
And, you're missing that because, yes, Russell Westbrook can provide an impact. He could also completely kill your momentum. And you need someone else on the bench to make up for that, and they just don't have it.